One last strategy, number 5, create a subordinate clause. All right, so when we have a run-on sentence, this 5th strategy goes like this. Turn one of the sentences or independent clauses within the run-on sentence into a subordinate clause, also known as a dependent clause. There are lots of ways you can turn an independent clause into a subordinate clause. We're going to talk about that a lot more later when we get to chapter 8. But let's take a look at this sentence, and I'll give you a quick rundown on at least the way we're going to do that in this instance. So here's the sentence. I have to be dressed nicely for lunch on Friday. I will still find a way to take advantage of our faculty jeans day. This is a true story. So let's see. What are our 2 or more sentences that have been kind of smashed together as one sentence? I have to be dressed nicely for lunch on Friday. Complete idea. Could be a complete sentence. I will still find a way to take advantage of our faculty jeans day. That could be a complete sentence. Okay, so I'm going to take the first piece of this, the first independent clause, and I'm going to take it from being independent and I'm going to make it dependent. I have to be dressed nicely for lunch on Friday. So in this case, I'm going to make it dependent by adding a subordinating conjunction. So I'm going to add although. Now, there's a long list of conjunctions that work exactly this way, and they are very different from one another. They don't all make sense in any one situation. But this one works fine here, because basically I have a contrast. I have to be dressed nicely for lunch on Friday. I still, as it says here, want to wear my jeans. So, although I have to be dressed nicely for lunch on Friday, look at what's happened. When I didn't have the although, I had a complete idea. But when I added, although I have to be dressed nicely for lunch on Friday, now it leaves me waiting for a complete or a completing idea. I don't have a complete idea when it's sitting there with this although, because I'm waiting for the contrast to come. So, although I have to be dressed nicely for lunch on Friday, in this case I would also need to add a comma after my new subordinate clause at the beginning of the sentence. Although I have to be dressed nicely for lunch on Friday, comma, I will still find a way to take advantage of our faculty jeans day. So this is just one example of a way that you could create a clause, create a subordinate clause, in order to address the run-on sentence problem, making it a complete sentence that is just fine.